page 53. باب من الشرك لبس الخيط والحلقة.
No, Shaykh, we're not there yet. We did this. باب التفسير التوحيد, we did that. So that's where we stopped. Now here is where we stopped. This one. But since it didn't so long, maybe we should have it. So we did باب التفسير التوحيد وشهادة أن لا إله إلا الله.
Oh. Okay. No. Okay. لا بأس.
Should we just go back to the beginning of it?
Yes. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن نهجهم بإحسان إلى يوم النشور. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم معلم إبراهيم علمنا مفهم سليمان فهمنا. Today we are going to deal with Tafsir Tawheed. You know, Tawheed is the one obligation that we owe to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has incubated upon us to worship nothing but Him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have dealt with forms of Tawheed, and the Shaykh still goes on to tell us more examples of Tawheed. And he starts by defining Tawheed and also the Shahada. So in this chapter, we are going to deal with the meaning of Tawheed, and then the witness that there is no deity worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he has given examples from the Quran, so many ayats, to fortify this reality and this truth. Now, اقرأ.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم اغفر لنا ولمشايخنا ولجميع المستمعين. قال المؤلف رحمه الله: باب التفسير التوحيد والشهادة أن لا إله إلا الله. وقول الله تعالى: أولئك الذين يدعون يبتغون إلى ربهم الوسيلة أيهم أقرب. بين المؤلف هنا تفسير التوحيد وشهادة أن لا إله إلا الله بما يوافق لفظها وبما يضادها، لأن الشيء يعرف بضده، وقد قيل: وضد يظهر حسنه الضد. أحسن الله إليكم. وبضدها تتميز الأشياء. وذكر هذا الباب لتعرف حقيقة التوحيد، وحقيقته هو إفراد الله بالعبادة وتخصيصه بها وبجميع أنواع العبادة، فتؤمن بذلك بالقلب وتعمل بالجوارح.
So, باب تفسير التوحيد والشهادة أن لا إله إلا الله. This chapter deals with Tawheed, that is monotheism, in other words, meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is alone, is worshipped. There's none that can be worshipped, or none that is worth of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وقوله تعالى أولئك الذين يدعون يبتغون إلى ربهم وسيلة أيهم أقرب, that those who are calling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they think they are hoping for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by any way. Which way is the best way to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid down his path, the only way that can lead to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are ways that people have tried to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which of the best way is the only one way, like the path of Tawheed. Now, وبين المؤلف هنا تفسير توحيد وشهادة أن لا إله إلا الله. So المؤلف رحمه الله is explaining what the meaning, giving explanation of what Tawheed is, and also the testimony that there's no deity worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In what manner? بما يوافق لفظها وبما يضاد, by way of contrasting between a word and its opposite. Now, when you construct a word in opposite, technically it brings out the meaning. And this is the path that he has chosen to define the meaning of Tawheed. It is said that وَضِيدُ يُظْهِرُ حُسْنَهُ وَضِيدُ يُثْنِي حُسْنَهُ. When something is in opposite, its best explanation can be confirmed or fortified by another opposite of the same word. وبدودها يضادها لأن شيء يعرف بدوده وقد قيل الضد يظهر حسنه الضد وبدودها تتميز الأشياء. When you find the opposite of things, things become clear and clear, more manifest by mentioning what their opposite forms. These are technicalities. Now, yes, to arrive at what the true meaning of Tawheed is. Now, وذكر هذا الباب لتعرف حقيقة Tawheed. He mentioned this, as we have said, for us to what? Know the reality, the true form, nature of Tawheed. هو إفراد الله بالعبادة, that is to mention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, to make Allah one, to unify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone as the center of worship. وتخصيصه بها بجميع أنواع العبادة, and similarly to establish the fact that all forms of Tawheed are centered upon the fact that Allah is alone in all these areas of Tawheed. What do we say that the Anwa or Tawheed, what are they? What are the Anwa of Tawheed?
توحيد الربوبية,
Naam.
توحيد الألوهية,
Naam.
توحيد الأسماء والصفات.
Now, all these forms, Allah is what at the center, testifying that He is alone in all His what? In His Lordship, in His Godhood, and also in His attributes. Naam. Both excellent names and attributes. فَتُؤْمِنُ بِذَلِكَ بِالْقَلْبِ وَتَعْمَلْ بِالْجَوَارِحِ. And for that matter, your duty is then to what? To believe with your heart all these forms of Tawheed, and let all these forms of Tawheed, the meaning thereof must manifest what? In your limbs or no faculties. They must show. We cannot say that we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not to make salah, for example. Now, so first belief, strong belief, overwhelming, unflinching belief in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the unity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as the forms of Tawheed. And after that, we have to show by way of true worship. Because there are some who believe, they say they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their heart. That's what they say. But what is the practical manifestation of that belief? When you don't even make salah, you don't make salah, and so forth and so on. Now, so al-amalu bil jawarih means what? Get to apply practically the meaning of Tawheed in our lives. Now,
وقوله وشهادة أن لا إله إلا الله، هذا من باب عطف الدال الشهادة على المدلول وهو التوحيد. فالتوحيد هو شهادة بالله وحده.
Another technicality is that Tawheed is what? The oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then to testify, the testimony is also what? An elaboration, corroboration of what? The meaning of Tawheed, that Allah alone is one. So here the Tawheed is defined that Allah has the oneness of Allah, the unity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. Now, where's the testimony? The testimony comes what? To identify or to prop up the reality and the truth, the veracity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is indeed one in all his forms of Tawheed, in all the forms of Tawheed. Now, قوله تعالى
قوله تعالى: أولئك الذين يدعون يبتغون إلى ربهم الوسيلة أيهم أقرب. وقبله قوله: قل ادعوا الذين زعمتم من دونه فلا يملكون كشف الضر عنكم ولا تحويلا.
Now, so before the first ayah, the second ayah, قل ادعوا الذين زعمتم من دون الله or قل ادعوا الذين زعمتم من دونه. That is, now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving the question, is challenging them. Say, call, invoke, supplicate to those who you have been mentioning and added them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, Allah is there. Allah enjoys unique distinction of not being worshipped, but of not having anything being worshipped except in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is unique. Now, that's the unity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But here you have some beings, some khalq, they worship and invoke and supplicate to others, other things than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, have they put in place as Allah? Have they set Allah aside and have raised those deities as the center of worship? Allah is saying, it's a challenge. Now invite them, call them to come to help. Can they do that? No. Therefore, al-wasila alone, the only path that leads to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that which Allah has enshrined to our Rasul, which he also conveyed to us, that is Shahada and La ilaha illallah. Now, that there's no deity that is worthy of worship by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a testimony. Now, فَلَا يَمْلِكُونَ كَشْفَ دُورِ أَنْكُمْ وَلَا تَحْوِيلًا. They cannot benefit you, they cannot harm you in any way. And you have no replacement, there's no substitute for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. None. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give help as well as what? Harm. Now.
فدعاء من لا يملك كشف الضر أو جلب النفع من دون الله هذا هو الشرك وضده هو التوحيد.
Therefore, from what we have said, from this analysis, فدعاء من لا يملك كشف الضر أو جلب النفع من دون الله هذا هو الشرك وضده التوحيد. Therefore, calling someone, inviting someone, supplicating someone, and he has no capacity, he has no ability to harm you or to what? Bring you benefit. This action is called what? Shirk. And is the direct opposite of what? Of Tawheed. So anytime, may Allah forbid, anytime someone invites someone, calls someone, supplicates to the person, whether clay, whether statue, it doesn't matter. But anything in creation, other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if someone gets closer to him in the hope and belief that he can give him some help, may Allah forbid, then it's a form of shirk. And so it tells us that things that can plunge people into shirk are numerous. They are rife, multifarious. Now, the only center again is what? Allah's word. That's why we say Tawheed. Tawheed means Allah alone. All other things are unacceptable. Now, طيب قوله
قوله قل ادعوا أي قل يا محمد هؤلاء ادعوا الذين زعمتم توبيخ لهم وتعريف وتقريع، أي ادعوا آلهتكم الذين تدعون من دون الله فلا يملكون كشف الضر، أي الضر كله، ولا تحويله من مكان إلى آخر، من الرأس إلى الرجل مثلا، بل هذا لله وحده هو الكاشف للضر والجالب للنفع.
Again, he's further explaining this ayah from the Shaykh himself. He says, قُلِ دُعُوا الَّذِينَ أي قُلْ يَا Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam هؤلاء ادعوا الَّذِينَ زَعَمْتُمْ. As we have said before, call them. They are the ones who are worshiping other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. توبيخ لهم وتفرع. In other words, this is a reprimand. They are being reprimanded. They are being censured for what? For calling, inviting others other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because they want help from them and they seek what? Them to what? To ward off evil from them. ولا تحويل ولا تحويله من مكان إلى آخر من الرأس إلى الرجل مثلا بل هذا لله وهذا هو الكاشف للضر والجالب للنفع. He cannot accept that anyone should be invited and supplicated and invoked to render help or ward off evil. This is just the unique work of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot say, for example, can they change, for example, we see people, a lot of people, they say they want to have what? A facelift, right? Facelift. They go under the under the blade, under the
like surgery?
the surgery. That's right now. And they want a facelift, right? To change their appearance. Now, can you also say to them that change my head, put my head on my back, for example? It cannot be. Or change my hand, let my hand be on my as a leg. There are no places now. So these things are what? The prerogative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They cannot have this for you. And so you go under the knife. That's why we see that. Now, the nature in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this is the best for us. It was designed by Allah Himself. So when you go under the knife, to have a nose lift, so that the nose is changed. Like if it is not because of accident, someone may get involved in accident. They may have a fractured nose, for example. But not because your nose is large, so you want to have maybe a tiny nose, right? So get to change the nose. That is, you are changing the nature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or you are black in color, for example, and change what? Go under the machine, and then your entire what? Color is changed to what? Don't mention nobody's name. Now, it changed to what? White. Next time it will be blue. You change it all to blue, right?
Inshallah.
All these changes, يغيرون خلق Allah, is part of it. Now, you cannot do these things with changing your hand, taking it to your leg, and that kind of thing. All these things are the work of what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They run counter to what? Tawheed. We are saying that, look, Allah huwa al-musawwir. Huwa al-khaliq al-musawwir. Al-bari'. Now, He's the creator and the fashioner and initiator of all creation. Now, so that's why you have what? Allah, Shahada, La ilaha illallah, that is Allah only worthy of worship, and we cannot associate any partner with Him. Now, in the process of doing this, you might run into what? Shirk. Now, my one, two, three. Now, and these forms. So the forms of shirk is not just like erecting a statue and then you bow to it. No. Even if you slaughter, if you don't slaughter it very well, it can be what? Form of shirk. Now, if you make dua, if you don't make your dua very well, that right way, that only way, chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, That's al-wasila. Now, if it is other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it could constitute shirk. Now, so we have to be very careful. Shirk is a household word. It is being floated here and there. But in actuality, it is a profound word. It's a huge that we have to make sure that we are free from all its vestiges. Now, طيب. قوله أولئك الذين يدعون. نعم.
وقوله أولئك الذين يدعون أراد بهم من يدعو الملائكة والأنبياء والصالحين، لذلك قال يبتغون إلى ربهم الوسيلة، أي هؤلاء المدعون صالحون في أنفسهم، ومع ذلك لا يملكون كشف الضر ولا تحويله، فغيرهم من الأصنام من باب أولى.
So when he said قوله, that is the Shaykh said rahimahullah, أولئك الذين يدعون. Allah says that أولئك الذين يدعون, they are the ones who are making supplications. They are making invocation and probably even incantations. أراد به من يدعو الملائكة والأنبياء. It means those who are inviting and invoking the angels, they are called angels. والأنبياء, and also the prophets as well. والصالحون لذلك أو صالحين يدعون الصالحين لذلك. And those they deem to be what? Pious, righteous. Here's the issue. You have an emergency, maybe medical emergency. You go to Yakanabudu, where can I say? But for one reason or another, last Allah, we thank Allah that He has made us Muslims. The first thing that comes to some people's mind is some people, some creation. Sometimes they are angels, sometimes they are anbiya. Now don't have anbiya, but some people have done that. Some people go, even anbiya, they go to their tomb, say this is a tomb of a Nabi, this is a tomb of a Swali, regular Swali. And they go to their tombs to what? To seek what? Protection and help from them. Allah Akbar, thinking that they can offer help or they can ward off evil. Now, even though they cannot. So this is just fortifying the previous ayah. Now, that people who are inviting, they are calling, making invocations, they are being asked, they are commanded, authorized by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to please seek Allah and Allah alone. How can people stand in prayer and say, Yaka nabru, Yaka nasa'in? We seek assistance from you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you are the one that we are worshiping. And then yet they turn to all these things who are Christian in the way, and then make supplication. Does that make sense to you? But people are making what a great deal out of this. May Allah rescue all of this. This is form of shirk. And the consequences of shirk, you have said before, the consequences of shirk are unbearable, are unbearable, are unbearable. طيب. وقوله
وقوله وإذ قال إبراهيم لأبيه وقومه إنني براء مما تعبدون إلا الذي فطرني، وقوله اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله.
He will come to explain this, but briefly he's saying in the first ayah, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ لِأَبِيهِ وَقَوْمِهِ إِنَّنِي بَرَاءٌ مِّمَّا تَعْبُدُونَ إِلَى الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي. When Ibrahim said to his father, I and my people, when Ibrahim said to his father and his people, his men and women around him, Innani, I, Ibrahim, I'm free from that which you are worshiping. Yes, Nabiullah Ibrahim, he said to his father, no. ما هذه التماثيل التي أنتم لها عاكفون, so forth and so on. Now, many ayahs in the Quran that even though Ibrahim was not on the right path, he means no ways he challenged his father. And people, He told them upfront that I am free from what you are worshipping. I cannot worship what you are worshipping. Now, all shows what? The intensity of Tawheed. إِلَّا الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي, except the one that created me. He says the one who created me. And who is the one who created him? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can we do that? Yes, that is the first proclamation of Tawheed. Now, and then the next ayah, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله. Who are these? The Ahl Kitab, Bani Israel, والنصارى. اتخذوا يعني the أحبارهم ورهبانهم, that is their elders, their chiefs, their monarchs, and so forth and so on. Their monks as what? Rahbaban, as lords, min dunillah, other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they become the center of worship. Their chiefs, their elite, their monks, their authorities among them, they took them as what? As lords, as forms of worship, other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is also an indication of what? Shirk. May Allah forbid. Now, go on, Sida.
والوسيلة التقرب إلى الله بالطاعة أيهم أقرب، أي يجتهدون إلى الله بتوسلهم أحسن الله إليكم، أي يجتهدون إلى الله بتوسلهم وعبادتهم له بأنواع الطاعات.
نعم.
ويرجون رحمته ويخافون عذابه لأنهم عبيده ويرجون ويخافون، فكيف يستغاث بهم.
Now, when the al-wasila here mentioned, ayyuma aqrab, al-wasila, that is, as we had said before, the path, the way leading to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are going to, for example, you are going to Columbus. There are many ways to Columbus, but quite frankly, the average person, whenever you want to go to a destination, what do you seek first in terms of road? The shortest way, the shortest and the safest way. That's right. So they think that, subhanallah, those things that they invoke with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are the shortest ways and the safest ways of what? Getting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or getting to their destination. Now, does that make sense to you? You can do that, but you can't do that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can seek the nearest path where you are going to. Now, but when you are going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you only have one way. You have one way, the surest, the safest, and the enshrined, the authorized way by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, "One hadhi surati mustaqima." This is my path, my straight path, follow it. You can get into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But for one reason or another, you see that shaitan is working very hard and changes the minds of people. They think they can have the closest and surest way with others, other things other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But those things are not creation, are not creator. Those things are not creator, but what they are what? Creation. Now, that is the deadliest mistake that people make. Now, the gravest mistake that people make. Now, so those are akhbar or ruban, those monks and people they revere among themselves. Now they have taken them as what? As deities, as Allah. May Allah forbid. Now. Now, وَيَجُونَ رَحْمَتَهُ وَيَخْفَونَ نعم. And now. So how can they fear other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How can they hope for mercy other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Let us not go this path. But their main thing is that they are taking those as idols, as ways to help them get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they think in their mind they can what? Seek help for them, they can ward off evil of them. Now, which it is not true. This is an argument that holds no water. So Allah is bringing salient points by going through this ayah, huge arguments, unquestionable, incontrovertible arguments to challenge their minds that you cannot do that. Come back to what? Tawheed. Do Tawheed and you are safe now from all these superstitions and misguiding. Now, طيب.
وقوله إذ قال إبراهيم لأبيه وقومه إنني براء مما تعبدون إلا الذي فطرني. هذا تفسير التوحيد بمعناه قوله إنني براء مما تعبدون كقولنا لا إله، وقوله إلا الذي فطرني كقولنا إلا الله، والفطر الخلق.
Now, so as we have said before, this Sheikh is doing very well by what? Repeating the sentences, the paragraphs. Why? Because it is important that we don't forget that the idea of Tawheed is propped up and cemented, well enshrined in our minds. They may seem to be simple, but it's the best thing of all, is the most powerful treasure that has been bequeathed to us by our Rasul. Tawheed is the best, is the finest treasure that we can ever have. It is not easy. It is not a trivial issue. It is huge issue. Now, so the ayahs are being repeated frequently to have no doubt about what? The truth, reality of Tawheed. Now, so there's no question that, yes, Rabbi here, Fatara means to create. Now, the Fatarani, and Khalaqani. Well, Fatri, it means what? Al Khalaq, Allah Khalaq. Now,
فبين أن معنى التوحيد من عبادة غير الله وإنكارها واعتقاد بطلانها والرد عليها والتوحيد لله وحده بجميع أنواع العبادات.
There's no question about that. Still, look at what he said. He said, فَبَيَّنَ أَنَّ مَعنَى التَّوْحِيدِ مِنْ عِبَادَةِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ وَإِنْكَارِهَا وَاعْتِقَادِ بُطْلَانِهَا وَالرَّدِّ عَلَيْهَا وَالتَّوْحِيدِ لِلَّهِ وَحْدَهُ بِجَمِيعِ أَنْوَاعِهِ. That's all. So this is what? Refuting all these challenges, refuting all what they stand for, and establishing the fact of what? Allah alone, to him belongs Tawheed and all these forms. All the forms that we have stated before, the forms of Tawheed, all of this belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And forget about those challenges. They have there's no substance, there's no, their challenges are fluid, and the solid result is what? The one posed by these ayahs. And he has quoted ayahs on the tongue of Nabiullah Ibrahim, and so forth and so on. Now, so all this is here to tell us that we should not make mistake, that Tawheed alone, Allah alone is at the center of Tawheed, and forget all things else. Now, طيب.
تفسير التوحيد وشهادة أن لا إله إلا الله وشرح هذا الترجمة ما بعدها من الأبواب.
Now comes some forms of Tawheed, some chapters, some sections of Tawheed. After this has been established, that there's no duty but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now,
وقوله اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله بين أن هذا شرك بالله، وأن التوحيد هو ألا يعبد إلا الله، لا راهب ولا حبر ولا نبي ولا صالح، خلافا لما فعله اليهود من اتخذ الأحبار، النصارى من اتخذ الرهبان أربابا بحيث يحلون ما أحلوا ويحرمون ما حرموا بدون دليل، وإن خلاف شرع الله، وإن خالف أحسن الله إليكم، وإن خالف شرع الله وما جاءت به الرسل، فصاروا بهذا عابدين لهم لأنهم أطاعوهم فيما خالف الشرع وقدموه عليه كما في حديث عدي بن حاتم فتلك عبادتهم
نعم
رضي الله عنه.
نعم. بين أن هناك شرك بالله أو بين أن هذا شرك بالله. So the Mu'allif rahimahullah is explain that this is indeed what shirk with Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, association of partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wana tawheed huwa an la ya'budu illa Allah. That is, tawheed actually means that no one should worship other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La rahib, not even what? Rahib, that is a monk, or la habr, or any one of their leaders, saturated with knowledge, or la nabi, or any prophet, or la saleh, so-called pious man, pious person, khilafan, as opposed to what? Lima fa'alahu Yahud, as opposed to the Yahud. Why? Man أو من اتخاذ الأخبار, by what? Choosing or taking their what? Their أخبار, their chiefs. والنصارى, and also the Nasara, that is Nasara, من اتخاذ الرهبان, by taking their what? Their monks أربابا as what? Lords. بحيث يحلون ما حلوا, they legalize to them, and they follow what they legalize to them. They say this is halal, it is halal. They are taking the halal from whom? Not from Allah, but from what? From the monks and their chiefs. وَيُحَرِمُونَ مَا حَرَمُوا, and also they forbid what the monks and the chiefs, they forbid, not what Allah forbids. Now, so they are taking the instructions, their deen, their creed from whom? From their chiefs and the monks. Are we supposed to do that? Of course, no. Bidun delilin, without what? Without what? Delil. Without any evidence? Without any evidence, no what? No evidence,
proof.
no proof.
نعم.
Now, طيب. When khalafa shara, even though this direction or directive from their monks and chiefs, even if it is diametrically opposed to what? That's right, to the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Sharia Allah. Oma bihi Rasul or Rusul, and what the prophets came with for Saul. Because of that, they became bihada abidin lahu. They became what? Servants of them. Servants of them. So they are human beings, the Nasara or the Yahud, they became servants to their.
To the priest.
That's why they became subservient to whom? To their monks and their priests, right? Instead of being a Muslim subservient, a Muslim is subservient to whom? Allah. That's why we are Muslim. A Muslim is one who is subservient to whom? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you have submitted your whole self to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is what makes you a Muslim. لأنهم أطاعوهم فيما خالف الشرع, because they followed him in things that are opposed to the Sharia. وقدموا عليه كما في حديث عدي بن حاتم فتلك عبادته. This hadith is explained as we go on. The Shaykh has explained that in its entirety. So Rasul says that for tilka ibadat, that is their word, their worship. So this is not the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By receiving your directions and commandments from your chiefs and then your monks, these leaders, they become your God. You are taking all the command from him, from them, and then his worship is what you worship. Now, so they have created a creed, a deen that you are worshiping and you are following. Not the creed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not the deen. Allah says, inna dina indallah
الإسلام.
ومن يبتغي الإسلام دينا فلن يقبل منه. So this is the issue that we have to be careful You have a Muslim, he says that, no, mashallah, he's a Muslim, that nothing. But the manner in which he behaves, the manner in which he carries himself in the face of emergencies or needs, then you find that now it is, or he is totally a different person. I mean, indirectly, whether knowingly or unknowingly, he has become servant to people other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is very dangerous. So can we see that the issue of shirk and tawheed is a triviality? No, not at all. It's the first thing in our lives. First in our lives. That's why when our Rasulullah sent Muaz to Yemen, what did he say to him? You find that people,
Who from Ahlul Kitab.
oh, and they tell them what?
That the first thing they need to is believe in Allah.
Believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is Tawheed. First thing that comes, that has to be built in the human being is what? A Tawheed. وقالوا ومن الناس
عفوا.
ويسوع
ويصير بذلك مشركا كما قال بعد ذلك سبحانه عما يشركون.
سبحانه وما يشركون. سبحانه وما يشركون. Therefore, praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Glorification be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is free from what? What they yushriku, what they associate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by worship. Now,
Shaykh, سؤال. Is this something that the person is affected whether they do it intentionally or not? For example, following the, like as you mentioned here, the rabbi making halal what is haram. Are the people falling into this shirk if only they follow him intentionally, or if they also do it just blind following? Do they also fall into that? For example, if a Muslim goes around and starts saying things that are not necessarily correct or contradict the Sharia, and then people follow him in that, or they agree with it, do they fall into that this statement?
yes, they do. Because oftentimes, frequently, people are being warned against shirk. And now find someone who is promoting shirk. And warnings are everywhere. So, but if he doesn't know at all, and sincerely doesn't know at all, is someone who has not received any message from a prophet at all. He's in a cave. Even though nowadays message AI is everywhere, right? Right? But if this true, there's no AI, no what? What's the level? Let's just Apple. Number what? Right? This is, if there's no Apple system there, then it's fine. Then inshallah, I don't know best. But if there's Apple system and even it's in the cave, then it shall be taken to task by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it depends upon that area must be left to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah knows best. Who is who and who believes what? No, to him.
وقوله ومن الناس من يتخذ من دون الله أندادا يحبونهم كحب الله.
ومن الناس, there's among some people من يتخذ من دون الله أندادا, who take for friends, they take idols, things that are worshipped other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that means anything you worship other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Need that you are. So, and that they take things, idols other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yuhibbunahum, they love them. Kahubillah, as they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or Allah as Allah is loved. They love Allah as Allah is loved. You know, when you love Allah, you love Him, right? And they love them as Allah is loved. But you know what? The continuation of this ayah is that وَلَدْنَا عَمَنُوا أَشَهْدُ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ وَلَدْنَا عَمَنُوا أَشَهْدُ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. But those who believe, no way, they love Allah more than what they do, really. But they think that they love these idols as Allah is loved. They are lying, because those who love Allah, the believers, subhanallah, true believers, they love Allah. Nothing can come or stand in their way of loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, but that's what they say. Now, so Allah refused that also. Now, what is Sahih?
So, and that is the equivalent of like Tawheed or
Yes, it can be need. Now, that's and that. Anything other than Allah is called need. Now, and that is plural. Idols. It can be tawagid, it can be stones, it can be money, it can be everything. Now,
Shaykh, I have a question.
sure.
Well, maybe in the sharh when we get there. If he
Okay,
doesn't mention
خلاص.
that, I ask.
وفي صحيح.
وفي الصحيح عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال: من قال لا إله إلا الله وكفر بما يعبد من دون الله حرم ماله ودمه حرم ماله ودمه
نعم
وحسابه على الله عز وجل.
وفي صحيح, that is the Prophet's hadith. And in Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أنه قال من قال, anyone who says لا إله إلا الله, there's no deity worth of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وكفر بما يعبد من دون الله, and worship and disbelieves in that what and believes in that which is worshipped other than Allah. He believes in that which is worshipped other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Haruma ma'aluhu wa damu. His wealth and blood become what? Inviolable. It becomes haram for anyone to attack or infringe upon him. Haruma. You cannot kill him. He's safe. You have to ensure and protect his dignity, honor, and integrity. Now, because he says what? Because he says what? La ilaha illallah. Now, because he says La ilaha illallah. وَحِسَابُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. And his judgment is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't mess with someone who says La ilaha illallah. I disbelieve in all things. I disbelieve in all things, all idols. But I believe in Allah and Allah alone. Make sure that he's a Muslim. And for that matter, you treat him as such. His blood, money, wealth, property, and all those things are inviolable. You cannot encroach upon them. Now,
فائدة: بالنسبة لأصحاب القبور فقد اتخذوهم القبوريين آلهة من دون الله، والواجب أن يبين لهم الحق، لأن عملهم كفر من أعظم الكفر، ولكن لا يقتلون بل يبين لهم الحق لإقامة الحجة عليهم، فإن أصروا قتلوا إن يسر الله من يقيم ذلك عليهم.
So the Shaykh is a faida. Here's some benefit. بالنسبة لأصحاب القبور, pertaining to people who worship the graves, فقد اتخذوهم القبوريين آلهة. That is, they have taken those interred in those graves as what? Aliha, as their gods and deities. من دون الله, other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. والواجب, instead of أن يبين لهم الحق, instead of explaining to them the truth. لأن عملهم كفر, because this action that they do is what? Kufr, disbelief. من أعظم الكفر, one of the highest levels of what? Of kufr. It's one of the most perilous, most dangerous, disastrous forms of what? Kufr, disbelief. This should be made known to them, that these Kuburiyin, they are not doing well. Those who take them, those who worship them, it's a kufr, form of kufr. It has to be made clear to them. ولكن, but instead, لا يقتلون بل يبين لهم الحق. Even though they are not supposed to be killed, but what? They are supposed to be what? Taught and explained to the dangers of this. That is not right. لإقامة الحجة عليهم. in order to establish the fact and prove evidence against them. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not destroy people unless or until what?
Unless there's proof
There's
attached.
a proof. Allah established the proof. Now, so you also, we are supposed to what? Establish the proof. Not to kill them, just establish the proof that what? It is wrong, it is wrong, it is a sin, it's more than a crime, it is shirk. You don't do that. Now, and that if you do that, it is tantamount to what? Disbelief, which is the worst form of what? One of the worst forms of shirk. This is what is supposed to happen. فَإِنْ نَصَرُوا, but if they persist in this action of theirs, قُتِلُوا, then they can be what? Executed. طيب لماذا إن يسر الله من يقيم ذلك عليهم? If there's someone to carry out the execution, so be it. Go ahead, unless there's no one to carry out the execution. Because what? They persisted in that action which is kufr knowingly. And they did not persist from, and they did not back out. So they are doing it what? Wholeheartedly and in all belief that what they are doing is okay and it's okay in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. طيب.
قوله ومن الناس من يتخذ من دون الله أندادا يحبونهم كحب الله. هذا أيضا من تفسير التوحيد بضده، وهو عن الذين يتخذون أندادا يحبهم ويعظمهم ويدعوهم ويستغيث بهم، أو يحبهم حبا خاصا أحسن الله إليكم، أو يحبهم حبا خاصا يقتضي عبادتهم من دون الله. هذا هو الشرك الأكبر، والله ذم هؤلاء وتوعدهم. أحسن الله. والله ذم هؤلاء وتعودهم بالنار كما في آخر الآيات. كذلك يريهم الله أعمالهم حسرات عليهم وما هم بخارجين من النار.
This ayah that you have just read, that's what من الناس ما ينتخذ من دون الله أندادا يحبونهم كحب الله. There are those who take idols of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they love them as Allah is loved. هذا أيضا من تفسير التوحيد بضده. It's also part of the manner of explaining Tawheed by way of its opposite. That is about those who take idols other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they love them. They glorify them, they magnify them, they invoke them, they supplicate to them, and also they seek what? Help with them. Or they love them with a special form of love. Special. They say, you are special. So much love for them. يَقْتَضِي إِبَادَتِهِمْ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ, which means their love that rises to the level of worship, that they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the love that they have for them is raised, can be categorized as what? Form of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, huwa shirkul akbar. This is what? The highest form of shirk. Wallahu dhamma haula. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blamed, has censured those type of people, and had promised them binar. Binar. He promised them what? Fire. As a consequence. Kama fi akhir al-ayat, as is contained in the last of the ayahs. That what? Omahum bikharijina min Allah, that they shall be admitted into fire, and they will have, which they shall have no exit from the fire. May Allah forbid. Now, وفي صحيح.
شيخ هناك دقيقة.
Okay. Go ahead.
نكتفي هذا.
نقف هنا ولهذه بقية واخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. أزن يلا. السلام عليكم.
جنيد. جزاك الله خير. فين قلت أذان؟ ها؟
You forgot about it. Allah musta'an.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.